1, and our project is on the gifted and talented programs in schools. We're going to start off with a quick introductory video on Powtoons.
Okay, so Justin's going to go ahead and define the Gifted and Talented program and what the TEA is and how the TEA gets involved in the Gifted and Talented program.
Okay, so first, to be classified as a gifted and talented, the state sees it as a child who performs at or shows the potential of performing at a remarkable high level of accomplishment compared to other children at a certain age, or on the same age, on the same grade level. From that's where it kind of stemmed from. In 1977 is when first Texas legislation kind of put into effect the Gifted and Talented program, and then in 1979 is when they started actually putting funds towards gifted and talented students. In 1987 is when got kind of reamped and was kind of put into effect that all schools need to have some form of gifted and talented programs throughout all grade levels. And then in 1990 is pretty much set a mission goal on how to teach and how to pretty much find additional resources for gifted and talented students so they have a broader and more resources than, I don't want to say more than anybody else, but more resources than what they were getting before. Now the ones that oversee it is the TEA, or the Texas Education Agency, and they pretty much oversee all schools in Texas. They pretty much see funding, federal and state level, where the funding goes. Also, if you want to get your teaching certificate, they're the ones that oversee that process as well. And that is run by the Commissioner of Education. His name is Mike Mara, I think I said that right. He was appointed by Governor Greg Abbott. And from there, they're pretty much the role, like I said, is to distribute federal funds and state funds throughout the schools, see what schools need it, what schools are performing at the levels that they're supposed to be. And that's pretty much their whole, the whole reason for the TEA.
Okay, so now I'm going to go over the Texas Education Code. I'm just going to go over a few points that I found that were relevant to the to how they help the GT program. Okay, so section 29.123, the state plan assistance. The state board of education shall develop and periodically update a state plan for the education of gifted and talented students. So that's basically saying that they need to update it periodically, the code, so that they can stay, so that the school districts could stay updated with that. Section 42.156, gifted and talented student allotment, is stating that the funds given must be used for the GT programs, including the IB and AP programs. And then not more than 5% of these 5% of students in these districts can actually participate in the GT program. Section 89.1, the student assessment, includes the provisions for ongoing screening and selection of students who perform or show potential for performing at remarkably high levels of accomplishment in the areas defined in the Texas Education Code, section 29.121, which Justin has already defined the definition of GT, and I'll just go over that again. Gifted and talented student means a child or youth who performs or shows the potential of performing at remarkably high level of accomplishment when compared to others of the same age, experience, or environment, and who exhibits high performance capability in an intellectual, creative, or artistic area, possesses an unusual capacity of leadership, or excels in a specific academic field. Now, the professional development, it's section 89.2, and that's basically stating that these professionals have to be trained in at least 30 hours in this program, and if they're not, when they start the program, they have 1 semester to complete this. And then student services, section 89.3, school districts shall provide an array of learning opportunities for gifted and talented students in kinder through grade 12. And as you see, some school districts don't start at kindergarten, but this is what is in the Texas Education Code. So now that I've talked about the code, I did a little bit of research on, well, we did a little bit of research on school districts and how the code ties into these school districts. So I did about 7, but I've only placed a couple on here. I found that in some schools the screening starts in kindergarten, whereas in Medina ISD they started at first to second grade. And in their screening process, some school districts didn't have any specifics, and some you had to have referrals from a teacher. You had to have a nomination form, which I actually have a picture of some of the nomination. This is the nomination form. They have to have these criteria, a certain amount of them in some districts, and then this is what a referral form looks like for the GT program. So I actually found in my research that the SEUC ISD, which is Schertz Cibolo Universal City Independent School District, it actually had an extensive program which was, they all used the program for the TEA code, but they had like this wide range of different programs like the STEM. They had pre-AP, AP, IB, they had, this is the Performance Standards Project, which is basically, it's on the TEA website. But yeah, so they had a pretty good amount of stuff on there. Some of the school districts actually did not have a very good gifted and talented program, but I'm assuming it's because of the budget that they have, because it is spread out through the whole district, and it's only 5%, like I said before. So 5% of revenue, they only get, what is it, 5%? They get a 5% allotment of, they get a certain percentage, like it's 5%, but it's for,
money.
Each program has their own, and this is the 5% of their school budget that they get. So Sarah's gonna go ahead and, talk about, we conducted some interviews, so she's gonna go ahead and talk about that.
So we conducted interviews at 2 different schools with 2 different gifted and talented teachers. The first interview was at Colby Glass Middle School with Ms. Manning, who deals with GT students specifically from K through 5th grade. Ms. Manning does not have a homeroom class. All she does all day is work with GT students, so it's basically a form of special education. What we saw in our interviews is that overall she's, as a GT specialist, she's pretty happy with what she's seeing overall at Colby Glass Elementary, what she sees in her students. Let me go ahead and read a quick excerpt from that for you. The question posed to her, the elementary school teacher, was, do you feel as though gifted and talented students receive adequate community support? If yes, what type of community engagement is going on? If no, what would you like to see from the community to support advanced learners? Her answer was, yes, we get adequate community support. We have our GTEAC council that meets regularly, and they provide support for parents, fundraising opportunities, to help offer grants, and we also provide with field trip opportunities. This year they get to go to the Briskio Western Art Museum. Another question that we asked her was, how does she feel about technology in the classroom? Do students have iPads or otherwise use learning apps? If so, what specific apps do they use? She said as far as GT goes, she's not sure what technology is offered or used. But in her classroom, she has between 8 computers and access to laptops and iPads. Technology is used to help with research and prepare for presentations on a regular basis. The second interview that we did was conducted at Seguin High School, which is a rural high school, with the AP chemistry teacher, Ms. Copeland. Ms. Copeland has also runs the science fair and has worked on GT boards in the past with her school. She said, when asked, how is technology used in an AP classroom? Do students have iPads or otherwise use learning apps? Her answer was, we use Google Classrooms for some assignments. The students also use the UT Quest homework system, which we have mixed feelings about. It is nice because they get automatic feedback as to whether they are right or wrong, and their assignments are graded automatically. They don't like it because it gives a narrow margin of error. I find it less supportive than other platforms we've used in the past, such as Sapling Learning, but it is cheaper. Other than Google Classroom, they are not particularly mobile device friendly, which means students need a computer or Chromebook to be successful. I do try to integrate computer simulations as often as possible, and it gives students a more concrete picture of otherwise abstract concepts. Further, she was asked, do you feel as though the integration of technology has helped your students be more successful? The PAGT and other simulations, yes, she said, because it allows them to connect their knowledge to something that provides visible results. The electronic course is a mixed bag. If they do it, take the feedback, and get more help, it's very valuable. They're just trying to get through with as little work as possible, it's not especially helpful. I might feel different if I were happier with my materials. So overall, what we see, she did also point out in her interview that GT almost receives very little attention once they reach the high school level. What people don't realize, and I didn't really think about this before we started researching this, is that AP, IB, and all the other extra, programs that are in a high school level are not GT. Once you reach the high school level, according to the research and the interviews that we did, what seems to happen is that schools feel that AP and IB programs replace GT. So students do lose out on opportunities to have field trips and some of the extra stuff that comes along with GT funding. So all in all, what we found is that GT programs are in general highly successful and very well supported in a primary school situation, not so much once they reach high school.
Okay, so now we're gonna go over to the technology side a little bit more in depth, and Sarah has a video to show you about which involves a flipped classroom.
So one thing that is getting very popular at a high school level is the flipped classroom. For those of you that don't know or not familiar with the flipped classroom, basically what it means is teachers will record a video, which I'm going to show you an excerpt of. The students will receive a packet. We can if you want to pass this around.